Hello dear friends, welcome back to another watercolor tutorial. We are working on a wood canvas again, simply because I have to get through these. But it will work completely fine and the same on watercolor paper, so don't fret if you don't have a wood slice. Just grab a watercolor piece of paper. So we're going to be painting these really neat mountains today. So grab your paintbrush, your paints, and let's get started. So what I'm gonna do is paint, I don't know if you watched, again, I never know what order I release these tutorials in, but I assume that I'm going to release the kind of layered forest, super easy forest pine tree painting technique video before this one. So if you watched that one, we're going to be doing something similar in that we are doing layers. So I'm using my size 8 Grumbacher here, and I'm going to be using blue as my color. And we're going to be painting 3 layers of mountains. Now this is a very easy technique, particularly if you're using watercolor. So you're going to load a very watered blue onto your paintbrush, so lots of water. Especially for our first layer, since it's supposed to be the furthest away from the viewer, we want it most washed out. And then we're going to paint in a single line, sort of a rough shape of a mountain. And it can really look like whatever you want it to look like. It doesn't have to follow my shape, but I'm also adding some shading on mine, just to, you know, add a little bit of detail like this. Now you have to, that actually looks pretty cool by itself, just if I left it like that, but we're not. I've rinsed my brush out, dabbed it on some, what do you call it? Paper towel. And I am now just very gently going in between all of the lines that I painted, because I don't want to completely wash away the details that I painted. I just want to blend them all together, like so. Look how nice that looked. And that was so easy. That was 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer, but it's such an easy technique, especially when you've painted it 25 times on wood slices. But we are just gonna take water. I just keep dipping my paintbrush in water and extending that very, very light, almost invisible shade all the way down to the bottom. And the reason we're extending it all the way down to the bottom is because 2 reasons. One, when we paint our subsequent layers and only, you know, this half of the mountain is painted and this half is completely white, our next layer is going to be uneven in what am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Shading? No. I never took formal education in art other than high school, so I don't know the lingo, but it's basically just like the top is going to be darker than the bottom because half of the mountain is, you're starting with a blank canvas. The second reason why we're doing this is because when you paint your second and third layer, if only up to here has been painted, let's say you want to start your second layer here, there's going to be this thin white gap between your first and your second layer, so it's not going to be this seamless transition. So that's why we want to extend every single layer all the way down to the bottom. I'm sorry if that was a very butchered explanation. If you want the proper lingo, then I should actually probably use Google. I should teach myself, because so often, I know in one of my videos somebody pointed out, when you're darkening something, when you're adding dark features to something, you're not adding highlights. Because I had said, oh, you're adding highlights when you add these dark features. And I know, like, it makes sense semantically, but I don't know. I paint, okay? All right, so we're gonna let this first layer dry. It already is dry almost. Yeah, it is dry. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're gonna take blue, a little bit of black, and it's going to be a tad bit darker than the first layer. That's important because we want every subsequent layer to be a little bit darker than the previous one so that it looks like the mountains are receding in the distance. So with our second layer, you can, paint it however you want. You can have it overlapping, like going over the first layer. You can just have it, I'm trying to think what I'm gonna do here. I think I'm gonna have mine, oh, see, mine is not completely dry. That is not good. I don't know what to do now because that was not supposed to happen. We'll just try and work with it. That's what mine is going to look like. Oh my gosh, that is not dry right there. So same thing, we're rinsing our brush and going over all of our details, blending them out. Whoop. I am just all over the place today. So again, extending that all the way down. So here you can see my first mountain through my second one. So I'm just going over it a couple of times to try and wash that line out. It's okay if you can't do it completely. So we are gonna let the second layer completely dry before we move on to the third layer. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that final layer is dry. I'm really hoping it is. So now we're taking even darker pigment than the previous two. So I'm adding more black, less blue in this layer. And we're gonna do the exact same thing. And again, you can paint whatever shape that you want. Or not shape, but like, yeah, shape. The shape of the mountain. So I'm gonna have one kind of overlapping the other ones like this. There we go. And again, I'm rinsing my brush and then running it in between the layers here and blending it seamlessly together. Now, for the first time ever, I actually think I don't have enough blue in this. So I am just going over it with a little bit of blue. Rinsing my brush again. And blending again. Like so. Perfect. And that's about it. Those are our 3 layers for our mountains. You're always welcome to do a 4th one, which again, as I usually do, I might just do a little tiny one at the bottom here to fill in this white space. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Again, you don't need a wood slice for this. This is exactly replicable on a piece of watercolor paper. So if you did enjoy it, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.